carried weight that pressed on their souls, a whisper from the past echoing through the void. The Assyri Von sent its findings to the Central Archives. The report was filed, reviewed, and dismissed by the Dominion's High Council. Their verdict was absolute. Folklore a hoax, ignore it. But the galaxy does not stay quiet for long. Echoes across empires. The signal spread. Not officially. No empire would admit to fear, but through back channels, smugglers, mercenaries, and black market traders. Copies of the transmission appeared in places it should never have reached. Ports on the fringe, hidden forums within outlaw networks, whispered even in the academies where instructors scoffed at myths. And everywhere the words were the same. We endure. Empires tried to suppress it. The Dominion called it rebellion propaganda. The Karath theocracy declared it heresy. The Shalari archives insisted it was merely a distorted frequency from stellar radiation, but the words refused to vanish. Instead, they grew. In mining stations where exhausted workers drank away their wages, whispers spread. Have you heard it? The humans are coming back. In military barracks, soldiers laughed nervously while cleaning their rifles. If they exist, maybe they'll give us a real fight. Even in the noble courts of the wealthy, where gilded feasts drowned out the troubles of the stars, lords leaned close and murmured, "Imagine if it's true. Imagine if the myths were real." Fear crept in quietly, disguised as curiosity. Doubt slipped into the chambers of the powerful. And for the first time in centuries, the word human was spoken not as mockery, but as a question. Still, the councils denied it. The Assembly of Stars met once more, and again the matter was raised. Scholars, red-faced and indignant, insisted the signal was manufactured. Politicians demanded harsh punishment for those spreading mythological hysteria. Admirals swore that if humanity did exist, their fleets would crush them just as they had crushed countless others. The galaxy scoffed. But the void had grown too quiet, too heavy, for their laughter to feel convincing anymore. A shadow at the edge. It was Admiral Karath who saw it first. His fleet patrolled the rim, ensuring pirate clans and scavenger tribes remained in check. A veteran of 40 campaigns, Karath was not a man given to fear or flights of imagination. And yet, when his flagship sensors picked up the silhouette, he felt the tremor in his bones. It moved through the dark like a predator, massive yet silent, outlined only by the faint glow of a drive core unlike any design known to the galaxy. No registration codes, no transponder, no affiliation markings. A ghost. Identify it, he ordered, voice sharp. The bridge crew scrambled. Databases ran, algorithms compared, no match. Scale, Karath demanded. Sir, the voice of the sensor officer faltered. It's enormous. How enormous? A pause, a breath, a number. The Admiral's mandibles twitched. That size was impossible. No empire, no matter how vast, built ships on that scale anymore. The resources required were too great, the logistics absurd. Even the greatest war fleets of the galaxy's superpowers operated vessels only half its size. Yet here it was, silent, waiting, watching. Karath felt every eye on him, the weight of unspoken words pressing down. He wanted to say it was a trick, an illusion, some experimental dreadnought from a rival empire. Anything but the word that burned at the edge of his mind. The word he dared not speak. But his crew whispered it anyway. Human. The laughter dies. Word spread faster than any empire could contain. An unidentified super dreadnought at the galactic rim, its origin untraceable, its design unknown. Reports conflicted. Some said its hull was black as the void, others that it gleamed like silver fire. Some swore it bore symbols burned into its surface, others that it carried no markings at all. But one detail was always the same: the transmissions. Every fleet that approached received the same two words: steady, unchanging, unyielding. We endure. The scoffing laughter that once filled the halls of power had fallen silent. No admiral dared mock it now. No scholar dared dismiss it. The assembly of stars, once arrogant in their certainty, now sat in heavy silence as reports mounted. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy remembered fear. And in that fear, something older stirred. The myths, the folklore, the stories they had mocked for centuries. The name they had buried in ridicule. Humanity. And somewhere deep in the void, Earth responded. They laughed when the word Terran surfaced in council chambers. Not just a chuckle, but the kind of mocking laughter reserved for children's tailies and barroom jokes. The Dravek senators called it dust-scribble history. The Kelthari archivists labeled it primitive folklore. Even the Turnak War strategists, cold, logical, merciless, used human as a synonym for fantasy. In every academy, the story was the same. Long before the rise of the current empires, there had been whispers of a species reckless enough to spread across the stars in fragile metal shells. They were said to have fought wars of attrition that no other species could endure, to have stared extinction in the eye and chosen violence, again and again, until survival bent to their will. But no ruins were ever confirmed, no genetic record remained, no surviving witness could be found. So the galaxy concluded the obvious: humans never existed. The myths remained only as tools of rhetoric. Admirals invoked the human ghost fleets as metaphors in speeches to frighten cadets into discipline. Professors cited the Terran collapse as allegories when warning of unsustainable expansion. Poets carved ballads of the species that burned itself out, a warning wrapped in fiction. And so, belief hardened into mockery. For millennia, the galaxy scoffed. The council's laughter. It was during the annual war symposium, held within the grand spire of Valor Prime, that the name resurfaced once again. High commanders from 50 empires debated strategies for border conflicts, the ever-growing pirate problem, and the looming question of resource scarcity. On the fifth day, as exhaustion settled into the chamber, a Kelthari delegate raised the subject of old anomalies. Ghost signals, faint pings across long-dead channels. Harmless artifacts of pre-space primitives, the Dravek minister growled, slamming his claws against the marble table. Perhaps atmospheric echoes, nothing more. But the Kelthari, meticulous archivists by nature, pressed further. They presented scans from forgotten sectors, mysterious bands of radio noise, fractured code buried in forgotten systems, human-style signatures according to their ancient archives. The chamber erupted. Humans, one Turnak general hissed, mandibles clicking in disgust. Next you will tell us the fables of Earth, the mythical cradle world. Laughter rolled across the delegates, a cascade of scorn. Even the most patient scholars sneered. Enough of ghosts, barked the presiding chancellor. We are here to speak of real wars, not children's stories. Strike this nonsense from the record. The matter was dismissed with jeers. The galaxy went back to its business of power, territory, and arrogance. But myths have a way of breathing when ignored. The first omen. Weeks later, along the Forgotten Rim where no empire bothered to patrol, a listening post caught a fragment. The outpost commander was Kelthari, a scholar exiled to obscurity. His station drifted near a decayed star, monitoring nothing of value. The fragment arrived without warning, an ancient, rhythmic signal pulsing against the void. 3 short bursts, 3 long, 3 short. He froze, the archivist training buried in his mind whispered recognition, a signal that had no place in this age, a human relic. He replayed it again and again. The message repeated, crisp and deliberate as though freshly sent. SOS. The commander reported it. His superiors mocked him. You've been alone too long, scholar, hearing phantoms in static. Signals decay. That centuries-old garbage